Okay, so what we're doing in this section is we're learning about piecewise functions. And so a piecewise function is kind of what it sounds like. It's broken into pieces. So it's a function defined by two or more functions. Each piece of the function applies to a different part of the domain. And so depending on where your domain is what the function looks like. So here's an example of a piecewise function that has two functions. Okay? What you're going to really focus on is the two different domains. I have a domain when x is greater than 0, and then I have a domain when x is less than -1. Alright, so let's go ahead and evaluate first, and then we'll try and graph. So when f of 4, that is when x is equal to 4. And so x is equal to 4 on this top function. And so that tells me I'm going to use this. And so when f of 4, when x is 4, sorry, I'm going to use this function which tells me just that it's 3. There's nothing to plug in, it's just 3 there. Anytime it's greater than 0, the y value is going to be 3, so it's 3. Alright, this next one was -3, and if you notice that that's here. So I'm going to have to do when x is -3. And I'm going to plug it in here. So it'll be -3 plus 1. -3 plus 1 is -2. So that's how you evaluate. You evaluate by determining which of the functions you have to look at and then use that equation. Okay, so for graphing, what you do is you just graph it. I'll always start off by just graphing the line. So f of x is 3 is a horizontal line at 3. Okay? But now I have to do this control of it. And so what I do is I take my eraser and I'm going to erase everything to the left of 0. And then the only other thing I should do is, because it does not include that, I should make this an open circle. And so it's on the right side of 0, it's this value. Alright, so now I'm going to graph the other one. I'll use gray. So I go x is 1, and I go up 1 over 1, and down 1 over 1. Now I can connect the line, but I'm not going to connect it until I know where it starts. This tells me it starts when x is -1. So x is -1 right here. So that means it's going to be an open circle, and it goes less than, so it goes to the left of that. So that's the function I use. So all these other gray dots I don't actually need, so I can erase those. I'm not going to erase the one on the line because I'll erase the line. But that's how you make a piecewise function. So you graph the function and then you erase where you need it to not be. Alright, so let's look at the next example. What I would like you to do is I would like you to try and plug in these values for these different functions. So I have when x is less than 3, -3. I have when x is between -3 and 0. And I have when x is greater than 0. And I should probably, let's highlight those different colors. So that way it stands out. So this first one is a 4. So that means it's greater than 0. So you're going to use the green function for this one. -2. -2 is right in between -3 and 0. So for the second one, I'm going to use the blue function. And then the last one, when x is -5, it's less than -3, so you're going to use the yellow function. So see if you can plug in those x values and see what you get. Okay, so for the first one, I should plug in 3 times 4 minus 1, and so I get 11. For this blue one, I don't have anything to plug in. I don't have an x, I just have 7, so it's just going to be 7. And then for the yellow one, it's going to be negative, and then I plug in a -5 plus 2. Well, those two negatives become positive, so it's 7. Alright, so now we have to graph each one. So let's graph this top one, -x plus 2. So I'm going to go up 2, and then my slope is down 1 over 1. And then I can erase the dots I don't need. Okay, so this says when x is less than -3. Well, -3 is right here, so that's where I'm going to start my function, and it's going to go this way. But I'm going to erase it so I can make a better looking open circle. And so now it's an open circle at -3 going up. So all of these points over here I don't need because they're greater than -3, and I just want when x is less than -3. All right, for the next one, it's from -3 to 0. So I'm actually going to start at -3. And this is when x is 7. Okay, 7 doesn't fit on my graph, so I'm going to put it right here. So 7 is right here, and it's a horizontal line, and it's supposed to go left and right from -3, closed circle at -3 because it's underlined. And if you notice what I did, I should have had that an open circle because of this. It's not underlined. So open circle at 0, and it's a horizontal line. Okay, and then now let's go to the last function, -1, and my slope is up 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And this one is when it's equal to 0, so here and to the right and greater, so that's it. I missed the dots, but that's my piecewise function. Okay? All right, now the last thing we have to do is you have to be able to write equations for it. So this one, that's a horizontal line, so that's y is equal to 4, and so that's f of x is equal to 4. Okay? And so that happens when x goes to the right of 2. And it does not include 2, so it's x is greater than 2. So that's the first part. That's the first one. The second one is over here. It crosses the y-axis at -1. So f of x is equal to something minus 1. Now I need to find my slope. And if you notice, I go up 2 over 1. So it's a 2x. And this one is to the left of -2, left of 2. So it's x is less than 2. But because it's a closed circle, I underline it. And so that is my piecewise function. Okay? So remember, you just do one part at a time. You have to look at what function to use based on what domain number you're given.